Welcome to our house. This is the Screenplay Podcast. I'm your host, Evan Grenis, and with me, as always, PGA Tour player Andrew Novak.
What's up, everyone? Coming live from Hawaii. We got Wildcard Weekend playoffs. We got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, we're on different time zones here. You're out in some warm weather. I'm up in some cold weather in Boston, but we are making it work. Wildcard Weekend, like you said. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Screenplay_podcast. New episodes every Wednesday, 8 a.m., wherever you listen to podcasts. This season, we have also partnered with Wager Games. They are giving our listeners a $100 deposit match on the Sleeper app. Head over to our Instagram page, click the link, promo code, get your $100 deposit match. I'm checking it out now. I like the Saquon, more than 11 and a half receiving yards on Sunday. Okay, regular season, done, complete, over. Fantasy football, over. Uh, we're in the hard-nosed, cold weather, playoff football. Got some new teams who will be looking for a coach, playoff bets, predictions. Let's get into it. Normally we go through, 7, 8 games. We're going to take you through about 3 or 4 here. There were some good games this week, but also not a whole lot of games that really mattered. So let's start with the biggest one. Everyone pretty much watched Sunday Night Football. Lions defeat the Vikings 31-9. First half score of this game was not what people expected. 10-6. I think the over under of this game was like 57, something crazy high. Lions took over in the second half. Jahmyr Gibbs, 4 touchdowns, blowout win, 31-9. They capture the number 1 seed and a bye. Sam Darnold and the Vikings will be heading for a road game against the Rams for Wild Card Weekend. What did you see from this game?
Yeah, I thought this game was a little closer than the score indicates. I think that Minnesota shot themselves in the foot entirely too much, especially early in the game when they had multiple opportunities to get up, take a lead, and you know, take over the game, and they just didn't. Basically, I think I saw a tweet earlier this week from a Lions fan talking about, it's playoff time, and this is when you can expose bad quarterbacks. Like they can get through in the regular season, and they made Darnold look like Darnold. He was just missing throws, missing open receivers. I mean, there was a couple close misses, but I thought he was not nearly as sharp as he's been this year.
Yeah, their red zone offense was terrible, settling for field goals and sometimes not even making the field goals. But, Darnold's number is 18 for 41, 166, no touchdown, no picks. Yeah, I mean, Darnold obviously didn't play great, but I thought that was one of the worst games I've seen Jefferson play as well. Like, I thought he had a couple
Yeah.
catches that could the throw have been better? Yes, but a player like JJ, should he have caught in it? Yes, he went 3 for 9. I think he could have gone more like 6 for 9 with a touchdown in there. Same with Hawkinson, 2 for 8. If he goes 4 for 8, 5 for 8, he has some catchable balls. The stat lines look a little bit better. Maybe this game's a little bit closer. Goff went 27 of 33, 231, a touchdown, 2 picks. Wasn't necessarily his best game either. From the Lions side.
No, the Lions were just slow. I mean, a lot of it was just the first half. They never really got going. They did have a lot of like long fields. I felt like they started with bad field position multiple times. Now, some of that was like punts, but like some of that was just the Vikings, the Lions defense doing a great job stopping the Vikings when they were going for it on fourth down and late deep in their territory. But yeah, once the Lions got it kind of figured out, they got rolling. And Jahmyr Gibbs, he looked every bit of that first round draft capital they spent on him to go get him.
Absolutely. As the game concluded, Dan Campbell went up to O'Connell and said, "I'll see you in 2 weeks." So, if the Vikings go to the Rams and they beat the Rams, likely they're probably going back to Detroit, playing them again. If that same scenario occurs, would you take the Lions again, or would you switch over to the Vikings and say, "All right, Darnold's going to put it together this time," and maybe they take them?
We'll see. I think the Lions would win again if they did play.
I do agree.
Just
I do
I
agree.
think that home field advantage in Detroit is like it is legit right now. Those fans are rabid. They really want it.
And their
Um,
defense looked really good. I
yeah,
mean, they got
we'll
a player or two back, but
yeah, we'll see if Minnesota ends up there. Spoiler: I'm not really sure that matchup will be happening.
sounds like you like
Um,
the Commanders, maybe. Yeah.
yeah. So
I do too. I do
uh,
too. We'll get into it. All right. Let's go to the other game that mattered. Bengals defeat Steelers 19-17. Bengals get the win, but it's too little, too late. I think Burrow and his boys knew this. This win wasn't going to get it done. Kansas City wasn't about to let Denver, what happened
Yeah.
with Denver? Denver killed Kansas City. So
Well, Denver, yeah.
yeah, I mean, they
Kansas
weren't.
City blocked Burrow. Not only did they block Burrow from making the playoffs, but they're letting a team that they're not as worried about in. It made sense.
Yeah. So the Bengals get the win, but I think they knew that it was just not enough,
Yeah.
too late in the season. Bengals, though, they have Joe Burrow, who is the passing leader. Jamar Chase gets the triple crown, yards, receptions, and touchdowns, and Trey Hendrickson, sack leader. If you just put that there and you say this one team has all three of those players with those awards, you'd be like playoff team, like Super Bowl hopeful. Not the case with the Bengals. Missed the playoffs. What do they got to do this offseason?
Bottom line, they have to fix the defense. Obviously, Hendrickson's a fantastic player, but they still got run on all year. Their secondaries giving up big gains all year. They just couldn't really stop anybody. It puts so much pressure on the offense because they feel like they have to score every time they touch the ball. I still think you can see some help on the offensive line, cleaning some things up. And I do think they need to add a running back. Chase Brown was great. He was fantastic,
I do too. I think they need
but
to clean up that
I
O
still
line,
think
get some better run protection,
uh,
get another running
Chase
back in there.
he looked very explosive the previous year when he had less reps. I think getting him more rest can kind of help him look a bit more explosive. It's almost like the Tony Pollard when he had Zeke looked incredibly explosive, but then when he had to kind of bulk up to be the guy and take all the carries, he lost all of that hyper efficiency. So I think adding a bigger back that can help kind of control the load. I don't think that answer is a healthy Zach Moss. I think this is something they need to address in the draft. Will help that offense a lot.
I completely agree with you.
So
A power back. I mean,
basically,
right now
it
Chase Brown is half wide receiver, half running back. With how they're using him almost, but
I
they
I
definitely need
think
to bolster up that O line, that run
yeah,
game O line if they want to do
it
something like that.
like obviously their defense needs to be fixed. Their offense has been great, but I think having a running back that can help you possess the ball a bit more, like take the air out of the ball if your defense needs some rest, like something like that would go a long way towards helping this defense keep other teams out of the end zone.
I agree. All right, let's move over to the Steelers. Their hopes for the playoffs. Do you have them winning any games? Can they do anything in the playoffs at all with Russ?
How crazy would it be to start Fields? Like,
No,
is it
that's crazy. Yeah, no, that would be crazy. 100%.
like, is it like, I don't know. Like,
I'll
I
tell
don't
you
think they're
what.
winning a game with Russ. I don't know if they're winning a game with Fields either, but like, if they could just try and hold the ball for 40 minutes in a game and just run it all game long, like maybe. I don't know. Pickens has been a
November
mess. Like,
17th, Steelers beat the Ravens 18-16. December 21, Ravens kill the Steelers. Uh, if I'm Baltimore, I'm a little bit nervous about this game because Lamar's record against the Steelers 3-5. He's got more interceptions than touchdowns against the Steelers in his career. I mean, in division opponent, this is not what the Ravens wanted. Yeah, I think starting Fields is absolutely crazy. Keep Russ in there. Hopefully, your defense plays well, gets a few turnovers, and I mean, I don't think this is the worst matchup for Pitt. They see Lamar twice a year. There could have been a
I do
worse.
agree.
There could have been a
Yeah,
worse matchup for the Steelers going into the playoffs.
I don't disagree there. Um, teams tend to do better against Lamar the more they see him, but I'm still not giving them a whole lot of hope here. I just they don't seem to be trending the right direction.
All right, Panthers defeat the Falcons 44-38. Bryce Young 25 of 34, 251, three touchdowns, two rush touchdowns. His last three games, he went seven touchdowns, no picks, and three rush touchdowns. What do you think about Bryce Young? You're the Carolina fan. Tell me what you
Yeah,
think. His last three games were
he's him.
solid. I mean, ugh, I don't know about
A
that, but
lot a lot of people gave the Panthers and specifically Coach Canales a lot of crap when they pulled Bryce and sat him when he was struggling for 2 or 3 weeks. I was even a critic there too. Like, well, it didn't make sense. Well, something about that little sabbatical has flipped a switch on him, and he is just playing confident. He is playing different. and it shows. It's been really impressive. Of course, it has been after the season is basically over and none of the games matter. So all it did was make our draft pick worse. But it is nice to see competent quarterback play, and it is nice to see a quarterback playing confidently, somebody that you can roll into 2025 with and try and put a team around.
Yeah, I would say his confidence level definitely looks up. His accuracy looked pretty good. Still 29 starts. He's got one game of 300 plus yards, 312 yards in that one game.
Yeah.
Did it look a little better? Yes. Did he earn another year? Yes. I got a very short leash with him probably, maybe Thanksgiving of next year. You better be doing some good stuff. Otherwise, it's time to move on. Um,
There's going to be a lot of defense addressed in this draft, I believe, for
yeah.
Panthers.
What about Michael Penix? 21 to 38, 312, two touchdowns, one picks. Through his three starts, he's got three touchdowns, three interceptions. I'll say one of those interceptions is probably Pitts' fault, but I didn't like Atlanta going to Penix this late in the season. I thought they should have stuck with Kirk. Um, I don't know if their record would have been any different. I just don't know what to make of it with Penix. I think
Yeah,
his throwing motion looks fine. He just seems like he's maybe not on the same page as all of his receivers. I would like to see him be a little bit more mobile than what he is. 3 games, 11 rush yards total. I know he's like a pocket quarterback, but come on, you're a young guy. I mean, Kirk Cousins can get 11 rush yards. I need to see a little more than that.
I mean, Kirk was like the least mobile quarterback in the NFL when he was playing this year. I think in the structure of that offense, you're just not going to see much running from the quarterback. It's not, Penix had I think two severe knee injuries in college. Like that's just not a huge part of his game now. Um, I thought he looked all right. I think this is something that you will look back on next year, and I think he will appreciate that he played these starts just for
It may
being able
save
to
them a game next year instead of using a loss on like whatever first couple weeks, first 2 weeks. Maybe he goes 1-1
just
instead of 0-2 or something.
just being more comfortable with the process of going through the week as the number one quarterback. I mean that could really help him next year. I know when Mahomes took over in Kansas City his rookie year, he didn't play at all. They played him he played the entire game the last week of the regular season, just as like his stats weren't anything great. I'm not even sure he threw a passing touchdown, but I think that just going through the process of going through a week where you are the guy could be big for him. I think he probably would have liked to have played a little better, but he was missing one of his top two wide receivers this week. So I I mean, I'm not like completely down. It's not enough of a what do you call it? Like a
Sample size. Yep.
sample. Yeah, it's not enough of a sample size to really say much. Um, but maybe you would like to see a little bit more against a terrible Panthers defense.
All right, last game we're going to discuss here. Bears defeat the Packers 24-22. The final drive for the Bears and Caleb Williams has to give that franchise something to feel good about over the next 8 months. Not really sure what Green Bay was doing on defense there on that final drive, allowing them to, throw for 20 yards there, clock the football, get a field goal, but that's besides the point. How would you grade Caleb Williams' rookie season?
Very, very up and down. He had his moments, but I would say generally it was a bit of a failure, especially considering a lot of people considered it to be a pretty nice situation to be walking into for being first overall.
Yeah, I agree. Up and down. I gave him a C. I think a lot of it is not his fault. I think some of it is his fault, but when you look at his stats, I mean, he threw for the exact same yards as Jaden Daniels. His touchdown to interception ratio was they're both 3-1, but Caleb has a 5-12 record and Jaden Daniels got a 12-5 record. So I think his record isn't necessarily indicative of how he played. They had a coaching carousel. So yeah, we need to get the right coach in that building. See what Caleb can do next year. This offseason, what should the Bears be doing? I mean, obviously the coach situation, but what
Yeah,
do they got to do?
definitely got to get the coach thing. They need to hit on a good coach, but at minimum three offensive linemen in the draft. I think that's offensive line is the most glaring need for that team. When you spend the first overall pick on a quarterback, you've got to keep him upright. You got to keep him comfortable. I think Caleb can grow, especially under a new coach, but you got to give him a little bit of time back there, something that can keep him comfortable and scanning the field.
Yeah, I'd like to see a little bit more of a Green Bay model with a good O-line run game and then work from there. Speaking
So
of green, oh, go for it.
would you consider investing in a running back as well then? I mean, a Swift was decent, fine, but again, he's a
You
bit
know,
more of
it's
a change
tough
of pace.
because like if you invest in a running back, like and that running back just isn't going to have great success unless that O line is somewhat
Right.
decent. So, um, I don't know. You almost have to go with like the Chase Brown model and just go like 6, 7 receptions out of your running back.
Mhm.
And Swift can do that, but they need to get a better O line in a run game. Caleb can't be
Yeah.
throwing the ball 40 times a game, and um, I really like seeing DJ Moore on the screen game. I think we need to get him more involved next year. He's a playmaker. Just get the ball in his hands and let him at
Yeah.
least 4 or 5 times a game just create plays. Uh, yeah, I don't know. Let's get to Green Bay. A lot of injuries. Did they get the worst draw of the playoffs?
Their road looks rough. I mean, but I mean,
If
at this
I
point,
will
like,
say, if Green Bay somehow wins the Super Bowl, it will be the greatest Super Bowl run I've ever seen. They're going to be going on the road at the Eagles. If they win that, they'll be going on the road at Detroit. They'll then be playing NFC Championship game and then likely playing Kansas City in the Super Bowl. So I mean, like that would be the ultimate test of a schedule there.
yeah, they're
Also,
they're pretty cooked.
yeah. Also, Christian Watson out for the season. When Christian Watson is out, Green Bay looks significantly worse, at least in my eyes.
The numbers back it up. I saw a tweet. I want to say it was talking about uh, just efficiency metrics of the offense in general, and they are pretty middling without him on the field, and with him on the field, they are like one of the top teams. I
What
mean,
what
it.
what year in the league is Christian Watson? He's still on his rookie contract, right?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah, dude,
he was a first round
he
pick.
worries me with injuries. He is always banged up. Like I don't know if his pain tolerance is low or if he's just always really hurt. It seems
Well,
like 50% of the time he's just out.
he always had hamstring issues, and I remember he even went to see a specialist to like try and change the way
But
his
if I was a
hamstrings
GM,
work,
like I
like how
love
he
Christian
ran.
Watson, but I'd be like, dude, you are never available. Like how can I pay you what you want when you're
Yeah.
just not on the field? Um, all right. Let's get to some talking points. All right, got a couple coaches fired this week. Jerod Mayo, Patriots coach, out. Doug Pederson, Jaguars coach, out. I think we all knew the Doug Pederson one was coming. The Jerod Mayo one was a little unexpected, actually. As a Patriots fan, I didn't see it coming. I'm glad it happened. I'm not mad about it. I'm just shocked. I think winning that last game, real. I don't know. Do you think the decision was made on Jerod Mayo before that last game?
Um, if if it had, maybe that's why he was wanted to
Winning.
win so badly.
I'll tell you what,
Stick it to the franchise. Like, oh, you're gonna fire me? How about I win this game so you don't have the first pick?
maybe. I don't know. I was so upset. I was like, if I was Robert Kraft, I would have been texting Sly, who was our field goal kicker, and I would have said, for every field goal you miss, I will send you $1 million. For like every extra point you miss, I will send you $2
If
million.
if
Like,
you really wanted to tank though, like you should like Saturday night, you fire your coach, like offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, head coach, just fire. Like you don't have any coaches, like nobody to call plays on
oh,
for
and
Sunday.
I mean, it also turns out Joe Milton's pretty good. I mean, he was playing against backups, but still, first start, 22 of
He's playing like
29,
third
241,
stringers.
touchdown, one rush touchdown. He still looked good against third stringers.
Yeah,
So,
I mean he's got an absolute howitzer of an arm. Like it's actually ridiculous, but
yeah,
it's hard to judge. I mean that's literally like a fourth quarter preseason defense right there.
it's all right. He still looked good. Unfortunately, yeah, I really wanted us to lose that game. Didn't happen. I think going from that first to fourth, I mean, we could have traded that pick away for a lot. Like over the next 5 years, that could have cost millions, hundreds of millions of dollars for Robert Kraft in that organization. Oh man. All right. Pro Bowl selections came out this week. Who are the biggest snubs?
Uh, in my opinion, I'm just going 1, 2, 3. Danielle Hunter, Bijan Robinson, and Kirby Joseph. Danielle had a fantastic year. That Texans defense was quite good at times. I think he got slept on. I believe he led the NFL in pressures this year. Um, had a great season. Didn't make it. Bijan, obviously, great season. Put up big numbers. I know, there were a lot of NFC running backs that did well, so it's hard to really choose one to boot for him, but he had a great season. Then Kirby Joseph is kind of crazy to me. Led the NFL in interceptions, I believe, and just flat out stud in that Detroit Lions defense that just kept falling apart with injuries and all kinds of adversity this year. And he was in there just making plays the whole time.
Yeah, Kirby Joseph led the league in interceptions, but also on PFF had the best coverage grade. So that's pretty crazy to do both of those. The other two I have different than you. I got Baker Mayfield. I think he should have made a Pro Bowl over Jaden Daniels, threw for 1,000 more yards, 41 touchdowns, 16 picks, 106 passer rating. Jaden Daniels, 3,500 yards, 25 touchdowns, 9 picks, 100 passer rating. Baker won his division. I get it. Jaden Daniels a rookie. It was good for a rookie, but I think Baker should have got that. And then Brian Thomas not making a Pro Bowl does not make
Yeah.
sense to me. Number 3 in yards, number 2 in the AFC in yards. I mean, I would have easily put Brian Thomas in over Jerry Jeudy and Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers was number 19 in yards. Jerry Jeudy had a great year, but still number 6 in yards. I don't know how Brian Thomas missed that. Maybe because the Jags just sucked that bad that people weren't really focused on that market at all. If he was
Mm,
somewhere else and put up those numbers, like
yeah.
he was in Atlanta and put up those numbers, that's a
No,
Pro Bowl.
he was
Like,
awesome for
yeah.
sure.
All right. Tyreek Hill had a video come out this week saying he's pretty much done with Miami. After being arrested, after missing the playoffs, after just a long season for him. I think he had same amount of kids as he did touchdowns. So where's Tyreek going next year?
I would love to see him in LA playing for the Chargers. I don't know if Harbaugh would allow it. That doesn't quite seem like a pairing that would make a lot of sense, but him with Herbert could be a lot of fun. If that doesn't happen, I think you could see him in the NFC. I think maybe in Atlanta, maybe a Washington, something like that. It's just whether or not he'd want to go to work with one of those younger quarterbacks.
I will, yeah, no, I think the Chargers is a hot name right now. I don't see Harbaugh doing that. I think, yeah, I don't see them doing that. I'm gonna throw this name out there. I don't think a lot of people are saying it. What if Houston moves on from Diggs and they pick up Tyreek? Uh,
Mm,
Different type of receiver, but maybe that's something that they could go with there. He
it's
could go to
that's something
Texas.
they might need to look at,
No
especially. I
state
mean, that
income tax. He's got a lot of
yeah,
kids, got a lot of alimony he's got to be paying. So that interests him. Um,
yeah. If I
yeah,
mean, if Tank Dell's going to be out for the entire season as well next year too,
yeah.
I mean, you're going to need that.
I think that could be something that gives CJ Stroud and that Texans a little boost for next year.
Mm,
All right, Aaron Rodgers, done. Yes or no?
yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I don't see any market for him, and I would just rather go with Jordan Travis or someone other than Aaron Rodgers at this point. I mean, in my mind, he's what? Like if he has a great season, he's what, number 15 quarterback in the league at best?
If
Like
you're
probably closer to 20.
if you're good, you can be a bit of a distraction. If you're bad, like there's no need for a team to keep a distraction around if you're not playing well.
I agree. All right. 49ers offseason changes. What do you think they got to do? I mean, they came off a Super Bowl loss last year. There's always that Super Bowl loss hangover. What do they got to do this offseason to get it back going in gear?
Yeah. They might need to hire more training staff. That would be maybe my number one, because they got to get healthy. I know they have like an aging roster, and that's maybe leading to some of the injuries, but they got to stay healthy. And then I do think that they maybe need to address the pass rush a little bit to take some pressure off the rest of that defense. I think adding more on the defensive line, guys that can get after the passer, or yeah, get after the passer would be a nice help going forward.
Yeah, I think they got to do something with that defense. Right now on defense, they're spending $20 more million than they are on the offense. I mean, a lot of that's because Purdy's getting nothing, but that defense, they have really good players, but they're old, they're expensive, and they're often not on the field. So I think we got to explore some trades on that defense, get younger, get cheaper. We're gonna have to get Purdy's money going. So I think Ayuk will get healthy, come back. Yeah, I think we just need to make some moves on that defense if
Mhm.
you're the 49ers. All right, JJ McCarthy. Man, I think this first round wild card game with Sam Darnold, it's going to mean a lot for him, for JJ McCarthy. In my mind right now, I would probably trade JJ McCarthy and get a bunch of picks. Currently, the Vikings hold a first round pick and 2 5th round picks. So if you end up signing Darnold for, I don't know, X amount of money, you're going to want to put rookie cheap talent around him. So I would trade JJ. I don't know, get like a first round pick, a 3rd round pick, and then maybe like a pick next year and a player. Like you could really get something for JJ McCarthy. A lot of scouts in the league have been saying JJ McCarthy grades out higher than Shador and Cam Ward. I don't know if that's true, but they could definitely get something for JJ McCarthy. What would you do? They brought Daniel Jones in, obviously. Uh, there's a lot of different directions they could go.
Yeah, I think if you do trade him, I think during the draft could be a nice spot if you can catch a team panicking because they just missed out on their quarterback. But personally, I think JJ McCarthy is your quarterback in Minnesota. I think you wait him out. You drafted him for a reason. Darnold's been great, but he does have his shortcomings. I mean, it just got smoked by the Lions unless he proves something crazy in the playoffs, which I just don't foresee happening. I think you give your young guy that you spent that draft capital on a chance.
All right. Last talking point here we're gonna get into Cleveland Browns hold the number 2 pick. It goes Titans number 1, Browns number 2. Deshaun Watson just had an ACL setback. He's very expensive. He's also bad at quarterback. Nobody likes him, and now his ACL is even worse. So, oh man, it. I almost feel like it would be irresponsible of the Browns organization to draft a quarterback. You're just gonna ruin somebody's NFL career. Your caddy, he is your caddy on the PGA Tour is a Cleveland Brown fan. You had a conversation with him today. What is he thinking as a Cleveland Brown fan?
He so basically the other caddy was also a Browns fan. They were talking about it, and general consensus is they would like to move the pick if you can, especially say Cam Ward goes one it to the Titans. There's only one quarterback left. You can get the Giants and Raiders maybe in a little bidding war there. I think that's best case scenario for Cleveland because they need to stack picks. They were talking about moving on from maybe Miles Garrett. Like you're pretty much going to have to hit the full reset button. So just start moving guys for picks and ideally building from the lines out.
I completely agree. I almost really think Goodell's got to step in and be like, you have to trade this pick. Like we can't send another good quarterback to the Browns and end his career right away. It's just it feels so irresponsible. They shouldn't do it. Yeah, I think the Browns just got to wait this out for another 2 years and then somehow restart from there. All right, let's get into the playoff talk. Playoff sleeper. We hinted at this earlier. Who's the playoff sleeper this year?
Looking through it, the team I kind of like just because I feel like they are a pretty complete team is the Chargers. You have a very good quarterback. You have a run game that exists. Um, their defense is very good. I think they can win multiple different ways. They're in the AFC, which I think is a little bit easier path. Obviously, you have the Chiefs, but I do think the Chargers are a little sleeper team.
I got the Commanders. I think they do get a first round win. They're getting points this week, but I think they go into Tampa and get the win. I don't think Tampa looked great last week, and I think Jaden Daniels rookie year 1 win just in the playoffs. It sounds right to me in my head. All right, let's go to the opposite side of it. Big dog, big favorite to lose early. Who do you got? Not who do you
So
got necessarily, but who has potential to go down early?
on here, I actually have the Vikings. I do think the Vikings can or probably will beat the Rams. I do not see them winning that second game though. They're either going to be playing probably the Eagles or the Lions, and I just don't see them beating either team.
I'm gonna go with I I have the Ravens down here. I do think that they beat the Steelers, but if you were to tell me that the Steelers won this game like 16-14 and it was ugly and Lamar bowed out early, like I wouldn't be surprised. His record against the Steelers is not great, and it's just Tomlin getting points. In division team, yeah, I could just see it happening. All right, Super Bowl matchup. Who is your prediction at the moment?
I've got Chiefs versus Eagles.
All
Brought
right.
it back from a couple years ago.
Yeah. I said this preseason. I'm still holding to it. I'm taking chalk. I got Lions versus Kansas City. Like I said, my preseason pick. I still got the Lions winning it all. I put Lions in Super Bowl champion. I think I got it at plus 1,000 preseason. I don't know what it's at now. Maybe like plus 400 ish. I gotta look, but um, hoping that hits. All right. Let's get into the gambling. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games this week. Wild card weekend on Saturday at 4:30. We get Chargers at Texans. Texans getting 2.5 points. At 8 p.m. We get Steelers at Ravens. Ravens favored by 9.5. Sunday 1 p.m. Broncos at Bills. Bills favored by 8.5. 4:30. We get Packers at Eagles. Eagles favored by 4.5. Late night we get Commanders at Bucks. Bucks favored by 3. Monday, we get one game, Vikings at Rams. Rams getting 1 point. Is there a must-win game this wild card week?
I think a little bit of product of the fan base, but I think Philly playing Green Bay. I think Philly has to win that game.
I agree. I put that down in parentheses. I did put if Hurts plays. If Pickett starts
That is
and
true.
if
Yeah.
Pickett starts and they lose, I could see them being like, all right, well, we didn't have our guy. But yeah, no, if Hurts plays and they lose at home, Sirianni, that seat just becomes very hot. All right, last week bets. I went 1-2. Figured finished my regular season up at 23-29. Just an abysmal year. Bad start, bad end, not great bets. But at least one of our podcast hosts had a great year. Andrew went 3-0 last week, regular season 31, 19-1. Andrew hit at 62% for the year. Absolutely remarkable. I think you hit 55% last year. So 2 good winning years in a row for Andrew. I'm going to make up for it. I'm going to have a solid playoff run. Bad regular season. Going to go undefeated here in the playoffs. This week, 6 games. We're still going 3 bets. I'll start it off. I like the Commanders +3. I do like the money line as well, but I will take the +3. I'm taking Bills -8.5. Broncos, you had a great season. Bo Nix, good rookie, but it's not going to happen. I think the Bills absolutely destroy the Broncos at home. And then I'm taking Eagles -4.5. I actually think that line is low because they're not sure if Hurts is going to play. And once they see Hurts playing, I think that line is going to jump up to, I don't know, 5.5, 6. So I'm taking Eagles -4.5 there, even though I have that bet, but I would love to see the Eagles lose. I still think that would be fun to see them lose. All right. What do you got?
You're learning. I will also be taking Washington +3 at Tampa Bay, and I will also be taking Philly -4.5 against Green Bay. I love both of those. Um, I do think Hurts plays, and I think Philly covers that. And then
Yeah, I
I
think
do
he
actually have
plays.
Washington
I don't
winning
see
that
any
game
way
as
he
well.
doesn't play.
And then lastly, I have the Vikings -1 at the Rams. I don't feel fantastic about it, but I do think the Vikings find a way to win that game and make it to the next round.
I like it. Yeah. So 2 of the 3 are the same. Last week we both had the Chargers -5.5. That hit. All of last season, all of this season, if we have the same exact bet, I'm pretty sure they have never missed. So
We've hit. It's only happened like 6 or 7 times, but I do
yeah,
think
we don't pick the same bets
they are
often,
undefeated.
but we don't lose when they hit. So we got Commanders the same this week. We got Eagles the same this week. So look for those to hit. All right. Good luck to Andrew in what is it, Honolulu?
Yeah.
Sony Open, first event of the 2025 calendar year. Good luck out there. Wildcard weekend, got some good football, some playoff type new fantasy games going this week. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at screenplay_podcast. New episodes every Wednesday, wherever you listen to podcasts. Appreciate y'all listening. Any last words?
Yeah, Bryce Young, comeback player of the year.
All right. We will see y'all next week.